Okay, so let me get this straight. A federal judicial nominee gives the textbook correct answer to a constitutional question. Like literally what is in Article 1 versus Article 2. And a sitting United States senator who used to teach law at LSU looks at him and goes, I have no idea what you just said. That was the moment. That was the show. So this past April 29th, Senate Judiciary Committee, up walks Michael Hendershot, nominee for the Northern District of Ohio. And Kennedy hits him with three of the most stacked hypotheticals he could pull off. A flashcard, war powers, rent freezes, racial classification. And the moment Hendershot answers correctly, Kennedy plays dumb. On purpose. I want you to watch this clip with one thing in mind. Hendershot is right. He is right on the war powers. He is right on the takings. He is right on strict scrutiny. Watch Kennedy pretend he is not. If you are not subscribed yet, hit that button now so you do not miss the breakdown after. Let's get into it.
Senator Kennedy.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Hendershot, when does the president have to get permission of the United States Congress to use military force?
Well, Senator Kennedy, as I was discussing with Ranking Member Durbin, I do want to be careful about hypotheticals in terms of prejudging.
It's not a hypothetical. I'm asking what the Constitution says. When does the President of the United States have to get permission from Congress to use military force?
Generally, Senator, my understanding is the divisions between Article 1 and Article 2 distinguish between the war powers, which are under Article 1 and require congressional consent. Again, talking in great generalities, whereas other use of force, if I understand your question, are things that are likely committed under Article 2 to the President's commander-in-chief powers.
I have no idea what you just said, Mr. Hendershot. Let's try it again. Tell me when the President has to go to Congress to get permission to use military force.
Senator, I think is when, because the text of the Constitution, Article 1, talks about declarations of war, those would be circumstances where the President would, in a general sense, and use of force that is not war under the commander-in-chief power, I think those are under Article 2 without the consultation of Congress.
Okay. I'm sorry, I don't mean to be rude. I just don't understand what you said. Mr. Jones. Let's suppose the mayor of a city. Strike that. Let's suppose the mayor of a city goes to his or her city council and gets a rule freezing rents. You with me?
Yes, Senator.
Freezing all rents.
Yes, Senator.
Forever and a day. Let's make it even more interesting. Reducing rents by 20%, because housing is a problem, right? Cost of housing. Let's suppose to try to help people with housing costs, the city, mayor and council, uses its police power under its state constitution as recognized by the federal constitution. So we're going to lower our rents by 20%. And as a result, because of the cost of insurance and electricity and that sort of thing, about half of the landlords in the city just say, look, we're going to have to default on our mortgage. Constitutionally, can the city do that?
Well, Senator, I think it could depend. I do think the city could have some ability to freeze rents. But I think you would have to look at the
Why isn't that a taking?
Well, it certainly could be a taking. And
when does it become a taking? At what point?
Well, I think it would have to be, you'd have to initially look at the impact, the financial impact on the taking of
Okay.
what could amount to a
Let's-
property.
Let's suppose, that's fair, yes, sir. Let's suppose 40% of the landlords will default on their mortgage. Have you reached the point of a taking or not? And how do you determine when you reach the point of a taking?
Well, again, I think it could depend, but there would have to be a showing that, what the financial impact was. And I
Yes,
think
sir, I'm sorry, I don't mean to be rude. We just have so little time. I understand that you have to have a showing. Tell me what the rule is.
Well, I think the rule is if you're taking property without, the government, I should say, taking property for a legitimate government purpose, I think you can only do that by compensating the owner of the property.
So
Generally,
any freeze on rent is a act of eminent domain? Is that
Well,
what you're saying?
not necessarily, Senator. I think in your hypothetical, you were, at least as I understood it, we're talking about a financial impact, not just freezing it at the moment, but then going on down the
Okay.
road.
In the hypothetical I gave you, who's going to win if the landlord sued the city or the landlords?
Well, I think, again, it would depend on the
You're
length.
not going to give me an answer, are you?
Well, I think it could depend. I know that's a very lawyerly answer, Senator. but
Yes,
I
sir, it
think-
is.
I
Very
think it
hard.
would depend on-
Judge, let me ask you a question in the few minutes I have. Tell me under what circumstances the state legislature can draft a statute that makes a distinction that classifies people on the basis of race.
Senator, I think, Chair Grassa, may I answer?
Yes, and then we'll go to Senator Goins.
Thank you, Senator. I think the circumstances would depend on the specifics of United States Supreme Court
I
case
know.
law and
Just give me
the
some
state
examples.
constitution.
Just give me
at
some
issue.
examples.
Senator, on the basis of race, I don't think, I think in United States Supreme Court has held that there should be no classification.
No, they've just said you got to have a compelling reason.
That is true, Senator.
So tell me what would be a compelling reason.
Senator, as we sit here today, I cannot give you a compelling reason.
Okay, I appreciate your honesty. Thanks, Mr. Chair.
Thank you.
All right, so let's actually walk through this. Hendershot gave Kennedy a clean two-line answer on war powers. Article 1, Section 8, Congress has the power to declare war. Article 2, Section 2, the President is the Commander-in-Chief. That distinction is in the actual text of the Constitution. It is on every bar exam in every state. And Kennedy looked him in the eye and said he didn't understand it. And this is exactly what legal commentators have been documenting for years now. The published assessment you're seeing right here lays it out plainly. Confirmation hearings have devolved from rigorous evaluations of legal merit into theatrical platforms for partisan grandstanding. Obscure hypotheticals designed to produce viral soundbites instead of genuine constitutional insight. That is not commentary. That is just describing what we all just watched in that hearing room. Then he moves to the rent control hypothetical. He sets up this whole scenario. The city cuts rent 20%. 40% of landlords default. And he goes, when does it become a taking? Hendershot says, it depends. Kennedy goes, you're not going to give me an answer, are you? Now here's the thing. That is the answer. Penn Central versus New York City. 1978. The Supreme Court created what is literally called the Penn Central test. Multi-factor balancing. The court itself called these, quote, ad hoc factual inquiries. 47 years of precedent. The answer is, it depends. And this next piece on screen connects it. The argument here is that this is not random. It's a wider Republican strategy to stonewall judicial appointments. Aggressive questioning, delayed procedures, creating a bottleneck. Ideological purity tests masquerading as legal inquiries. Look at the receipts. According to 538, Kennedy voted with Trump 93% of the time his first year. The Senate confirmed 234 Trump judicial nominees over 4 years, multiple of them rated, quote, not qualified by the American Bar Association. Trivia hour was nowhere to be found. Then we get to the racial classification trap, which somehow was even worse. Kennedy asks when a state can classify people by race. Hendershot, correctly, says it depends on Supreme Court case law and the standard requires a compelling reason. That is the strict scrutiny test. Then Kennedy goes, give me an example. And when Hendershot won't prejudge a case, Kennedy says, I appreciate your honesty. Like he just caught somebody. And the article on screen here puts the pattern into context. The argument is that this aggressive posturing is a direct continuation of the 4-year Trump project to reshape the federal judiciary. Senate Republicans rubber-stamped highly ideological, often underqualified judges with no real vetting. Now that they're in the minority, the same senators flip to obstruction. Same people, different standard, depending entirely on whose nominee is sitting in the chair. Truly shocking stuff. It's like a hiring manager who rubber-stamped 234 candidates without asking any of them to spell their own name. And the moment the next batch walks in, every interview becomes a surprise spelling bee. That is not a standard. That is targeting with a thesaurus. Federal judges decide cases on briefs, records, clerks, oral arguments, and months of deliberation, not on whether they can snap rule a fictional rent freeze on live television. And this last piece on screen names the senator directly. Kennedy's, quote, folksy interrogation style is described here as the poster child for the decay of advice and consent. When a nominee gives a careful, lawyerly answer, which is literally what judicial ethics canons require, they get mocked as incompetent. That is, the Hendershot exchange in one sentence. He refused to prejudge a hypothetical, that is, judging 101, and Kennedy treated him like he failed a quiz. So here is the line. Next time somebody tells you these pop quiz hearings are about judicial competence, ask them this. When did Kennedy quiz Aileen Cannon on the Penn Central test? When did he ask any of those 234 Trump nominees to define purposism on the spot? You will get silence, because the standard is not legal knowledge. The standard is which side of the aisle the nominee sits on. Full stop. That's the whole game. The hearing is theater. The clips are content. And the actual job of judging happens nowhere near a camera. If this helped you see what is actually going on, hit like, hit subscribe, share this with somebody who needs the full picture instead of the spin. I'll see you in the next one.